Welcome back to the BettorOff PropCast for the NFL Divisional round. I am Dan Skidlowski, your host. With me, as always, Mr. Bobby Stanley Jr. We're looking forward to a fantastic. We got some close games this weekend, folks, and I know we got a lot of bets that we want to cover. So we are going to just hit the ground running. No time for niceties, Bob. I don't care how you're doing. I just want to know how your bets are gonna do this weekend. I want to know what they are. So we're going to start out actually this week going over our PropCast parlay. But before we do, I have to issue a formal apology. Let me get my scroll for last week's PropCast parlay. We came right down to it. I was actually kind of hoping for a second because this is not the first time that a PropCast parlay has lost on my leg. And Bob obviously went first. He had the Darren Waller over 22.5 play. And I was like, all right, that's not going to hit. So although it sucks that it's dead, at least it's not all on my shoulders again this week. Well, when Darren Waller has a 23-yard reception with like 30 seconds left in the game. And I'm like, okay, well, it's good that our second leg was the community pick, which was a Gronk touchdown. And I was like, okay, good. So it still doesn't have to come down to me. All that has to happen is Gronk just doesn't score a touchdown. Obviously, Gronk scores a touchdown. So I'm like, okay, well, here we go again. It's my leg one more time. I'm feeling good about it. And the Steelers got mollywopped in that game. And I'm still reeling from it. But we are going into this week's. I said on Twitter again, run it back. We're doing it. I ain't fucking leaving. I'm not done with this until we hit a PropCast parlay. So we're running it back, and so we're gonna start out giving those picks right off the bat before we even get into the games. So I am going to go first. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be sexy, and I am going to take a Josh Allen touchdown as my leg on the Sunday night game, Bills Chiefs. Josh Allen, he's gonna want to run one of these in. I mean, obviously the Bills last game he didn't even need to run one in. He could have ran a couple in if he wanted to, but they were dominating the entire game, saving those legs. The first drive he put up like 40 rush yards or something. His first two drives, he could have easily gotten the end zone if he really really wanted to. But I think he's gonna want to get into the end zone. I think he has another good rushing game this week, and so I like a Josh Allen TD. That is going to be my leg, and I know I know what you're thinking, Dan. You don't want it to come down to you, and yet you're picking the last matchup on NFL Sunday. Well, this is me. I can do it. I can do it. I promise. I can do it. I know I can, and this is me just getting right back on the horse that threw you, and just I'm going Josh Allen TD. And if not, I will resign. All right, Bob, what do you got? What is your play of the weekend that you love?
Before I go into mine, if it makes you feel any better, I was also eyeing a Josh Allen touchdown this week. I think it's plus 145 over on FanDuel. It does seem like a matchup, especially against Patrick Mahomes, that these two square off. He does have Devin Singletary back there. They didn't really get the run game going, I believe, in the first matchup this season against Kansas City, but we heard about Willie Gay. He could potentially be in question for playing this week, something like a domestic violence off the field issue that happened recently. So their linebacking core for Kansas City could take a big hit. I do just think Josh Allen in this moment, if they get inside the 15, he has to be thinking touchdown. And maybe they don't leave it to chance. They don't leave it to Devin Singletary. So by no means is that a bad pick. I do like Josh Allen, especially at the odds you're getting. It's great value. So let me segue that into my leg of the PropCast parlay. And mine's actually the first game of the weekend. It's the Bengals against the Titans. Bengals are getting 3.5 points as they go down to Tennessee. I'm on T. Higgins, over 65.5 receiving yards. It's minus 110. So he has heavily implied odds at over 4.5 receptions. I think it's like minus 150 that he gets over 4.5. So let's say he gets the 5. When he gets 5 receptions, he's hit this line in 5 of 8 games, 62% of the time. This Tennessee Titans secondary, not very good as far as explosive plays. They give up the 6th most 20-plus yard receptions all season. When Higgins played them last season, so there was no Jamar Chase, he was really that number 1 wide receiver role. He had 6 receptions for 78 yards. I do think the Titans' main focus is taking Jamar Chase away. Mike Vrabel is a Belichick disciple. That kind of coaching mentality has always been, we're going to take what you do best away from you and see what you have left. And I think in the case of Cincinnati, it's, we're going to take Jamar Chase away from you and show us what you have left. And I think they have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd left. And I'm going to go with T. Higgins at 65.5. And we see, like I said, we see the receptions odds where they're at. He's really, the books are really hammering him to hit that 5 mark. And when he does, this is a 60% cash rate. So I'm going over 65.5 receiving yards against this Titans secondary as my PropCast play.
All right, we are going with the same formula, hoping for different results. Bob's hopping on the first game. You, the fans, are going to hop on the middle games, and I'm going to be the anchor, the lightest anchor in the history of anchors. We have, so for the community pick for the Propcast parlay, you hop onto our Twitter at BettorOff Sports. It should be posted roughly around the time that this is up. You can pick any leg that you want to see as the third leg, and it can be any leg from either the Niners Packers game or the Rams Bucks. We are going to compile all of those legs. We're going to figure out which one we like the best. There could be a community vote on it to see what people are thinking. We're going to throw that in as the final leg, and then we are going to watch those 3 legs hit this week. And then we're going to, whoever follows us on Twitter and retweets the tweet, we are going to just draw a winner for the winnings of the bet. So make sure to head over to our Twitter right around when this is up, and get in on the Propcast parlay. Let us know what you want, what leg you think is gonna hit. So, okay, we are covering that. Now we're just going to go through real quick and just touch on all the games, what we like, and we got to start. The beginning is a very good place to start. So let's talk about the Cincinnati Tennessee game. The lines on this currently, Tennessee is 3.5-point favorites, which is conservative. I mean, the 1 seed at home in the divisional round, but over under set at 47, and Titans minus 180 on the money line. Bob, what do you think about this? What do you think about the Titans being the 1 seed in this AFC against, a Bengals team that's pretty hot? They're feeling themselves. Joey Stogie's kind of got some swagger about him. What do you think about this game?
I mean, yes, they're the 1 seed, and they earned it. I think they beat Kansas City. I think they beat Buffalo, so they've earned the 1 seed, and they've done it without Derrick Henry. Certainly, Variable should be considered for Coach of the Year as a result. But they just don't move the needle for me in terms of, can this team be? They're the least. They are the least exciting, I guess, number 1 seed I can remember in a while. I think if Kansas City wins 1 or 2 games down the stretch, they end up being the 1 seed, but Tennessee, I think they're a well-coached team. Ryan Tannehill, if he plays mistake-free, it should be good. They are getting Derrick Henry back. But like I said, it's not their defense, or at least the back end of their defense, very susceptible to big plays. We don't know what to expect from Derrick Henry. I mean, Deontay Foreman played very, very well. So maybe they split some carries. I'd be curious to see what the carry split is his first game back. I'm going with the Bengals taking the points. I actually think they can pull it out as an underdog, but I doubted Joe Burrow last week, and I was wrong. The run defense for Cincinnati has fared pretty well. I think their middle linebacker, Logan Wilson, decent middle linebacker to stop the run. So we don't know what to expect from Derrick Henry. Can they keep up with scoring in Cincinnati? Cincinnati beat them last year. I think it was 31-20 with Vrabel, Zach Taylor going against each other. So, and that was when the Bengals weren't the team that we're seeing them now. I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to ride Joe Burrow. And I think we've been talking about him all season, me and you. This is where we start talking about him as now in that tier. Is he one of the young guys that could be in that tier? And I think it starts with getting to the AFC Championship game in year 2. So give me the points. I'll go with the safe bet, 3.5. I think by kickoff, this gets down to 3 even, which is, like you said, it's a 1 seed given 3.5. I think so many people are going to hammer the Bengals at 3.5. This eventually gets down to 3.
All right, there we go. Props picks. Number 1, plus 3.5. He's taken the Bengals with points. Let's hop on now to the NFC 1 seed. The Green Bay Packers hosting the Niners. Packers are minus 5.5, so a little bit more 1 seed-esque coming to the playoffs. The Niners coming off of that strange win against the Cowboys. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about the ending and Dak not hanging off the ball, whatever. Cowboys looked like straight booty hole for the first 3 quarters of that game. So I wouldn't really people shouldn't really think too much about that. Niners are plus 200 on the money line. Packers minus 245. The over under set at 47. So, Bob, is this a different one seed on the side of the NFC than you're thinking about the Titans? Are the Packers the real deal? What do you think about this?
Of the 4 games, I feel very confident about 3 of them. And I feel one where I see a version where San Fran can win this game. They grind it out, they run the ball, they control the clock. They are the team nobody wants to play. On the other side of this, I just see Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers steamrolling them. It's the game that I feel the least confident about. I love Devontae Adams over on 91.5 yards. I think his over under is 7.5 receptions. When he gets when he gets 8 receptions, he's hit the 91.5 mark 100% of the time. So every time he gets 8 receptions, he nails this 91.5 mark. Implied odds are at over 7.5 receptions at minus 158. So as far as the game goes, I have plays that I like. Alan Lazard touchdown, Marquez Valdez Scantling touchdown. Again, the back end of this secondary for San Fran is really the weak point. They have Bosa up front. I think they still have Armstead. So I don't feel confident one way or another. I mean, if you can get the Niners at 7, if you can buy the extra point in a touchdown game, I'd feel better about it. But in general, the only thing I really like is the under. I love under 47. It's the only thing I feel good about. If San Fran wins, it's a low scoring game. If Green Bay steamrolls them and jumps out to 21-0, and the burden falls on the Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulders, he's not going to be able to match firepower, especially when they're going to be bringing the pass rush. So under 47 is the only thing I feel confident about in this game. I don't feel one way or the other.
All right, Bob's picks number 2, under 47. I don't know if you've ever coined the phrase prop and lock it, but that's all I could think of
Prop, lock, and
during
drop.
prop, lock, and drop. Prop it and lock it, especially if it's a Tyler Lockett touchdown. We got to keep that for next year. Make sure our video guys clip that. All right, so heading on to now the Sunday slate. 3 p.m. We have two teams that didn't really need to sweat at all during their wild card matchups. We had the Rams, who made it, quite frankly, they embarrassed the Cardinals. And I know you're a big Rams fan. I know you love to hear that. But on the other side of the ball, you got the the Bucs, who embarrassed the Eagles, which I don't love to hear. But right now, the Bucs are -3, over under set at 48.5, so pretty standard. And 146 on the money line. Rams only plus 124, almost getting even money for them on the money line. It's a -3, which means neutral field, that the books would say this is dead even.
Mhm.
So two teams coming off of big wins, in your unbiased or biased opinion. What do you think how this game goes down at Raymond James?
From strictly a football matchup perspective, what the Rams do well defensively is troubling for Tom Brady and the Bucks. Interior pressure is what makes Tom Brady unsettled. If you bring edge rushers, he has the ability to move around in the pocket, step up, feel confident, and make throws with no issue. When you come at him head on, is where things get dicey because he does not have the mobility to move outside the pocket and make throws on the run. He didn't earlier in his career. He definitely doesn't at 44. Um, I feel very good about a Tom Brady interception at -102. He threw 2 interceptions against the Rams last year when he played for the Bucks. He threw 1 interception against the Rams in the 2018 Super Bowl. He has a lack of wide receivers that are not on the same page as him. So Antonio Brown gone, Chris Godwin gone. You got Gronk, you got Evans, but then you got a bunch of other guys who haven't played a lot with him. We saw last week that Tyler Johnson. I was expecting him to step up big, and he got the targets, but they weren't on the same page. There were routes where he thought Tyler Johnson was going to continue running, he was going to break one off, and they just weren't there. If you still have that, especially in these moments, that's when defenses like the Rams, who get a lot of pressure, start making plays and getting interceptions. So I feel good about Tom Brady interception at -102. I'm not going to pick a side. You can imagine who I think is going to win. Um, but at least it's rooted in some. The Rams are 2-0 against Tom Brady in the last 2 times that they've played them as a Buck. Obviously, they lost to Tom Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. But they have had their number. What's Leonard Fournette going to look like? I mean, We don't know what he's going to come back and look like. According to PFF, take it with a grain of salt, the Rams are fifth against the rush. So if you take that away from him and you have Tom Brady dropping back several times, he could be in a lot of trouble against this Rams front seven. Obviously, their secondary is still banged up, which is cause for concern. And then you flip it the other way. Now the Rams, I mean the Bucks defend the run very well. They probably have the best front seven in football, but their secondary is still suspect. If you get a Matt Stafford who doesn't turn the ball over, it's going to be a long day. We saw that in the first matchup this season. He played extremely well. Later on in the season, he became turnover prone. If they're able to get him going and not turn the ball over, I think the Rams have a chance to roll. But it really depends on what version of Matt Stafford we get.
All right. Tom Brady interception is the lock from Prop Holiday in this game. Not the lock, it's what he likes. It's the prop and lock. And then finally, we have the Sunday 6:30 p.m. What many are considered. This is not coincidence that this is the Sunday at 6:30 game, folks. I'm going to tell you that right now. What many are considering to be the AFC Championship, basically. We have the Bills against the Chiefs. I mean,
You
it's
could call
my
this the
Chief.
Super Bowl. You could call this a Super Bowl if you really wanted to.
Oh, yeah, the AFC Championship was being generous toward the Packers slash Tom Brady slash whoever else. But yeah, we're looking at a potential Super Bowl Super Bowl on January 23rd. We have the Chiefs -1.5 hosting the Bills. So again, neutral field. The Bills are on paper. The books like the Bills, but they're going to give them obviously vaunted Arrowhead Stadium is going to give them that edge -1.5. And then over under, this is they're predicting some fireworks here. 53.5, which is 4 points higher, 5 points higher than any other over under in this game. Um, I mean, the Bills coming off of just the perfect game that people have been calling it. One perfectly executed offensive game, no picks, no turnovers, no punts, no field goal attempts. And the Chiefs obviously showed well, but obviously their win was not as impressive, beating the Ben on his ventilator and on hospice Roethlisberger. So Bob, what do you think about this game? Are the Bills rolling too much for the Chiefs, or do they still got that Patty Mahomes magic in them?
This'll Out of the four games, three of them I love underdogs, and as we talked about San Fran Green Bay, I don't feel confidently either way. I feel confident in this Bills team. It comes down to both of their offenses. If you want to put up 35 points per game, they both can do it. Josh Allen can do it. He did it against Bill Belichick last week. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, they need no introduction offensively. They both have the firepower to make this an insane game. Defensively is where it gets interesting. The Buffalo Bills defensively are a middle of the road top 12 to 15 defense. They can turn it on. They're playing well. If you look at the Chiefs defense, they're suspect to me. We talked about Willie Gay possibly being out. I mean the Steelers are what they are, and obviously they were scoring in garbage time last night. But we've seen this Chiefs team have trouble with offenses all season, and it's gotten them into a lot of trouble. So this Bills team is their antithesis. They can score with you offensively. They don't need to play a certain style of game to beat you. You want to score with the Chiefs? We'll score with the Chiefs. You want to play good defense? But we can play good defense. Can you say the same, Kansas City? And I don't think they can. Josh Allen is playing some of the best football we've ever seen from a quarterback. It's kind of what we wanted to see from Cam Newton as far as the physical ability to get it done on the ground, the athleticism to blow by you in the open field, and then throwing the ball. He had more. He had what was it? More touchdowns than incompletions last week.
Yep.
So I'm gonna roll with the Bills here. They're plus 108 money line. The 1.5 doesn't really do much for me. I'm gonna take the odds. If you're looking for a player prop, I'm actually on Mahomes over 22.5 rushing yards. So he's hit this in 5 of 9 playoff games. He's a little bit more mobile in playoff games. He understands when the games matter. He hit this in 9 of 18 games for the season. He's actually more mobile this year than he has been in any point in his career. And he had 8 rushes for 61 yards against the Bills in week 5 this season. So give me the 22.5. And I think if he starts seeing the Bills pull away, or if you see Josh Allen outdueling him, he may say, I can get it done on the ground too. I can sling it too. So I don't really trust the run games in either of these situations, but I trust Mahomes and I trust Josh Allen. So Mahomes over on the rushing yards for a player prop, but for the game, man, I like the Bills. I think this could be their year. Get the tables ready.
So for the 4 games, we have you like Bengals plus 3.5, the Green Bay San Fran under, Tom Brady to throw a pick, and the Bills straight up money line. And that is the game, folks.
That's the way to
Yeah,
do it.
that's kind of was my thought when I was just looking at these games in depth for the first time. Was these could be so scripted or just so not what we think at all. I mean,
I know, and
and that
there's 4 games. We'll get 2 where it's like, oh yeah, we knew that was going to happen, and we'll get 2 where these over unders are so high. There's no shot where they're all going to be 28-24 games.
yeah.
Like someone's going to like lay an egg. I think it's going to be the 49ers Packers as far as you know high powered offenses because I just don't think Jimmy G has that in him. But someone's going to lay an egg on us. Maybe it's Bengals Titans because it's so much uncertainty there. Joe Burrow's still new. Ryan Tannehill is who he is. The style of play of Tennessee it's boring for lack of a better term. It's just a boring style of offense. Maybe that's the game where we're like, shit, this is what kicks off the weekend. But something's gonna lay an egg on us in between in regards to that. I'm just gonna look at them as one game at a time, and that's how I'll play them.
And there you have it. So now we have I have a little parlay that I've cooked up that is encompassing all 4 games, just legs that I've gone through and I've liked to pick and choose. And then I also have a touchdown score parlay prop. What do you have for us to give out?
I put in a 4 leg touchdown parlay just because you have to. I mean, I have to. I have to. I
Yeah.
need food, oxygen, I need water, and I need touchdown parlays. So I have a 4 legger in this weekend. One is T Higgins. We talked about him in his matchup. I got it at plus 195. It's now down to plus 185. Then I go over to that Packers Green Bay game. I said I didn't feel confident about it. I don't. I do think if the Niners are going to win, it's going to be controlling the clock and just pounding Elijah Mitchell. I mean, he's seen 20 plus carries in 4 or 5 straight games and was the recipe for success last week. I don't see them getting away from that in Lambeau if they are going to win. If Aaron Rodgers jumps out to a monstrous lead, that goes out the window. But I'm going to go in thinking that they do establish the run. Going back to my buddy Kyle Juszczyk to score a touchdown. He actually had a big role in this earlier matchup against Green Bay, so I think he's on the field a lot. It's not only is he there in a fullback role blocking, opening up holes for Elijah Mitchell, but if they get inside the red zone, he's someone who they're not really going to have their eyes on. And that's when Kyle Shanahan really thrives. So his odds when I got him were plus 750. I threw him in here. Van Jefferson already scored against Tampa Bay earlier in the year. They do have a weak secondary. He's been quiet the last 4 or 5 weeks. It's been at Odell Beckham's expense, or I'm sorry, it's been at his expense because Odell Beckham has blown up. But I think Van Jefferson gets at least 1 or 2 really deep targets. And this is the defense to get it again. So plus 320 on Van Jefferson is insane odds to me. And then Josh Allen, you talked about him earlier. I'm on it as well. This is a $25 parlay, 4 legs. It pays 6,400, 6,450. It'll keep me at the edge of my seat. If I can get to the Sunday games, I'll have my money's worth.
Oh yeah. That's the dream, is just to be sweating out on Sunday afternoon and have an extra reason to watch that Bills Chiefs game. Yeah, I also have a 4 legger. For the interest of time, I'll keep it pretty brief. I got Jamar Chase in the Bengals game. I have Marquez Valdez Scantling. You touched on him earlier. How
Love it.
and if Rodgers has a day, I mean everybody's going to get a touchdown in that game. Let's be real. Then I have Higbee for the Rams at plus 230 and Josh Allen as well. I have Josh Allen in every single bet and parlay I have, so I'm going to be watching that bet pretty closely. That is plus, so that's Chase, Scantling, Higbee, and Allen. That's plus 6,500, so it's 5 to win just over $333. I also have just a parlay. This is only going to be feasible to do if you're using FanDuel and the new same game same game parlay feature. So I have from the first game, I like Joe Burrow plus 270 or 275 plus pass yards. It's an alternate line. In the second game, I like Dylan touchdown and Kittle 50 plus. In the Rams Bucks game, I like the over 48.5. Then we have in the final game, Josh Allen touchdown and Dawson Knox 40 plus receiving yards. That's also an alternate line. That's plus 7,300. I'm putting 10 on that to win 741.31. So that is just real quick what I'm kind of looking at. Again, it's fun to put parlays that, because usually when we're on here, obviously we're covering same game parlays because we always did Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, whatever. But it is fun to finally be able to cover multiple games and put parlays in that spread over just one game. It is very exciting to hit one game and then have to look forward to another one and keep rolling that over. So that is mine. Bob, before we go, I just have a question. I want to hear your thoughts. Take the Rams out of the playoffs.
Mhm.
Who do you want to see win the Super Bowl?
Uh, if you take everyone out, Bills or Bengals? And I would say Bengals just because they are the wild card. Oh no, I'm sorry, they were a division winner. They have the youngest offense of everyone there. I mean, their wide receivers, their running back, and Burrow combined. I do like Zach Taylor. He is a McVay disciple, so maybe I couldn't take the Rams out of it. But I've been rooting for Burrow since his year at LSU. We talked about it. I think he's got some swag. I would love to see him get one. And then besides that, Josh Allen, I just think he's awesome. For lack of a better term, Josh Allen is awesome to watch. If you've been watching football for as long as probably you and I have, there's not many guys like him. There's Big Ben you can think of. He was never as physically gifted as this athletically. There's Cam Newton. He was never as good a passer as Josh Allen is. So we're seeing kind of the molds of certain guys that we grew up on, and he's the evolution of this type of quarterback. So I would love to see Josh Allen get one, or Joe Burrow, out of everyone left. Hate the Niners, hate the Packers. Tom Brady, I've seen him win enough Super Bowls to make my eyes bleed. He doesn't need any more. And the more attention he gets, the less LeBron gets. So I'm good with Tom Brady being gone. And like I said, Titans are just boring. It's nothing against them. I actually really like Taylor Lewan. I think I like his podcast. He's cool to follow on social media. I wanted the Rams to draft him, but Vrabel, Titans, it's just boring to me. Tannehill, he doesn't elicit any emotion from me either way. So give
Yeah.
me Burrow, give me Josh Allen getting one. What about you, man?
The Eagles, I think. Yeah, with this team's left, I think you hit a lot of them in the same way that I'm feeling. The Bucks, like, cool. It's good to see Brady just keep cementing himself as the greatest of all time, but he's already done that, and it's going to be almost impossible for anybody in our lifetime to win another 7 Super Bowls, whatever. So, pretty out on the Bucks. The Rams, would be pretty interesting to me. I would not be mad if the Rams pulled this out. I would like to see Rodgers win one and then force him to retire, maybe, so we can stop dealing with that. But and then I agree. I think Josh Allen and the Bills would probably be my top team. I mean, I do like Joe Burrow, and I do like the Bengals, and it's cool that young offense has been so successful only in Burrow's second year. But not saying that Allen doesn't have time, but Burrow has time, and that team has time to win.
Mhm.
The Bills have been close before, so it would be nice to finally see them break through and get that. I'm sure the Bengals will be back in that position the next 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. So I'd probably say out of the NFC, I'd probably root for Rodgers just to get it, and then the Bills out of the AFC. So that is the view from up here. So that is going to wrap up the divisional weekend propcast. Be sure to put your picks in the BettorOff app. Download the BettorOff app if you have not already. Get your picks in there. Make sure you're climbing that leaderboard, checking other people's bets. Check out who's on the leaderboard and what they're taking. I mean, that's the thing, right? You can filter by who's the best NFL spread better in the app. You can filter that. You can find them. You can see what they're taking. You can play their picks, and you can win as a community. And then we have follow us on Twitter at BettorOff Sports. Make sure to look out for the PropCast Parlay. Instagram at BettorOff, TikTok at BettorOff. Be sure to just be following us. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up on the app, a lot of new releases coming up, a lot of cool features coming up that we will be announcing shortly. So we are very much looking forward to that. But Bob, thank you as always for hopping on. I will be looking forward to your bets hitting and winning me money as they always do. I have been your host, Dan Skudlowski. We will see you in the conference championship edition. Take care, everybody. Happy betting, and we will see you next week.
Take care.